Hey guys, what's up? It's Sean, Autotopia LA, and today we're back at the home of Superformance, and this is a very special one, and I've said this a couple times on this channel, but this one really is very, very special. There's only 10 of these cars being made.
That's right.
Let's just start there.
Yep.
I'm gonna let you explain why only 10 and walk us through this car because I want people to understand what this is and why it comes with the price tag it comes with and why there's only 10. Like, this is a very special thing you guys have done here.
We're only doing 10 and that brings a special feeling to any kind of a tribute that we do, which this is. This is our Carroll Shelby tribute. So it's a tribute to CSX 2000, you know, right on the heels of what would have been Carroll's centennial birthday, which was last year. And then 62 years after 1962 when the car's made, it just kind of seemed to all come together. But when it comes to how special this car is, and we'll touch on that in a little bit when we're talking about some of the features this car has that are throwbacks to that original car. Not to all the original cars, not the production CSX 2000s, but this car, the prototype of all the Cobras that were.
There was Shelby #1, the blue one.
Eventually blue, right?
Carroll
Yellow
owned.
and all the different colors in between.
But he owned the car his entire life.
Yeah.
Until the day he died, that car was in his ownership.
Yeah.
That's a one-of-one car.
One of
The
one.
ones we saw after that,
Yep.
it wasn't the same car. There was changes made. The nose was not as long.
Yep.
There was things that were
You're talking
changed.
physical dimensions, you're talking interior features, you're talking brakes, engine options that ended up coming later.
Yeah.
This is the only car that was exactly like that. Obviously, all Cobras were all hand built. All Cobras are essentially one of one, but this one was a prototype that there was nothing like it ever since.
So walk us through, what is the car?
So the car is our Carroll Shelby tribute. So it is a throwback to CSX 2000, which is the car you have to do when you're doing a Carroll Shelby tribute. You know, everyone in our industry knows that Carroll won Le Mans, but like I've told people before, there's 146 other drivers that won Le Mans on Wikipedia pages, and that's where you're gonna find them. So what made Carroll transcend is this car, what he did with it, the company that came afterwards, the race cars that won championships off the bones of this car. When AC was coming out with this car, working with Carroll, and when he tricked Ford into giving him engines, the body and the interior is still a real throwback to the original AC cars. So this is the skinniest wheel and tire that's on it. It doesn't have the full bumpers that the production cars ended up having, or that they were optioned with. It doesn't have the teardrop hood latches that come on all the cars later after that. It has a more traditional windscreen on it, different mirror. I mean, interiors, different gauges, the turn signals in the steering wheel like the old late 50s AC cars. So everything about this car is CSX 2000. That's what we're doing.
And this is an aluminum body.
Yes, aluminum body, all 10 will be aluminum. And for the first time in Superformance, who's building the Shelbys now and has built the Shelbys longer than anyone else ever has. So obviously AC's been making their own Cobras too, but you're talking about Shelby CSX cars. No one's built Shelby CSX Cobras longer than Superformance has at High Tech Automotive in South Africa. And now for the first time, we are doing our own aluminum bodies in-house, hand-rolled. Like, you can do them in a 427, but obviously when we're coming out with that, it was this car that we're coming out with. That's the introduction.
So this is a full handmade. I mean, I know all your cars are, but this one's really full handmade, including the body. In the original car, it was a little 260 in there, correct?
Yes, the original car was a 260, and some of the early production cars also had 260s, eventually making way for the 289. Just, you know, Shelby likes to go faster. So.
Let's look, let's look under here, because I am curious to see how, like you said, so you guys made it look like it's the original 260.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're talking like the exterior between a 260 and 289, there's no difference. The 289 engines make more power, so we have an actual period correct date coded 289 in here. We went with the Tremec TKX 5-speed for our car because we know the intention is to do media, introduce the car, drive the car. You can do a 4-speed if you really want to throw it back all the way to what CSX 2000 was.
Suspension, brakes, chassis, all that stuff, identical replica to what the first car was.
Yeah, even having the leafs wrapped, right? So that was something that was always on CSX 2000, even down to, once again, transverse leaf spring, full independent, solid disc girling brakes with inboard in the rear, just like the original car.
So it's inboard brakes out back. Up front.
Is your traditional setup. Your discs are going to be outboard. So if you're copying the car, you got to copy the car.
You got to copy the car. If you're
going to go gangster, you got to go full gangster.
What is the wheel tire size? Because I'm walking up on the car, and one of the first things I notice is, whoa, those are really skinny little guys.
6.4, 15.
So that's the actual tire size?
Yeah. So they do it in the standard measurement versus the metric. Instead of like we do the 205, 60 15s. These are going to be in the standard measurement. So 6.4.
So it's a 6.4 and it's a 15-inch wheel. Interesting, man.
With no designation for sidewall. I guess the sidewalls are just, that's the way it comes. So
interesting, man. Now you were talking in the interior. There's some interesting, I mean, let's start here.
Okay, so that's actually the turn signal switch is in the steering wheel, just like the late 50s AC cars were.
That's your turn signal, and it doesn't click to center. So you got to kind of like go, hey, I think that's about center. The turn signal should be off.
The eventual production gauges were Stewart Warner's. The prototype gauges in some of the early cars were all going to be Smith's, with the exception for the VDO ammeter gauge, which obviously they weren't doing voltmeters then.
Sure.
But the ammeter gauge just shows drawn charge. And then you have the VDO speedometer. So what's special about that one is that all of the AC cars back then all had like 100, 120 mile an hour Smith's gauges. With this engine package, the top speed was 146 mile an hour. So that wasn't gonna work. So we do reproductions of the original Mercedes-Benz VDO gauges that go to 160 mile an hour. Another reason why you can only really do 10 is also finding all the original parts or remaking all the original parts for the trim.
Boy, no kidding, man.
Yep.
What is, now I think I read something recently, the price tag, this is gonna be 600,000, is it?
So this one, the first prototype car is 650,000, but we're gonna be selling them as a rolling chassis. So the option was to do, are we gonna do this as a race car, where we're gonna sell the whole thing and then people can never title it or drive it on the street? Or we're gonna do it to meet federal regulations for what kit cars are and then supply them less engine and transmission. And then if we do it that way, then a customer can actually have it titled, registered on the road.
And you were saying this color is identical to what CSX 2000
Correct. Yeah.
ended
So
up
yeah. So this is a scan paint. The color replicated and painted this car.
Yeah.
So
here was one of the other parts I thought was really, I'm glad you pointed this out to me, is the shape here coming into the dash where the door meets the dash is different than every other Shelby car ever.
There's gonna be a few things on here that most people may not even recognize as different, except for the real Shelby diehards, right?
Yeah.
Especially even then CSX 2000 diehards. So all the different dimensions, even like I was talking about how on the door side over there on the interior, how the aluminum comes in, where every other model of Cobra afterwards, it always kind of caves away from the hands, you know? So this one actually comes out towards you. Those
because
are features,
that's how that original body was.
That's how that original body was. So it's different than all of our other production bodies, fiberglass or aluminum, doesn't matter who builds it, they don't look like that, because that's not how the production cars were, but that's how this car was. It means nothing to anybody, but for us, it's interesting that of all the models we make, it's also the only one that doesn't come with a locking gas cap, because this car didn't have a locking gas cap. So we're not doing a locking gas cap. So it's just as simple as that. Of all the other thousands of cars we built, all have locking gas caps, not this one.
Also in a different position.
Different position,
here,
different
right?
lid. Yeah. So even trying to get that original latch style lid, these are all things that are, you know, important when you're gonna do a tribute.
Yeah.
When it comes to our industry, you've done a couple of our cars. You have the Superformance Mark III, right? That is a licensed replica. At that point, even in the kit car industry, that's upper echelon. The Superformance brand, the Superformance make is upper echelon, whether, you know, people want to hear it or not, that's just what it is. But on top of that,
why
then
do you
have,
think we keep coming back here? I mean, I'm a massive fan.
On top of that, you have the continuation cars, right? Where you're talking about attention to detail, authenticity, and then even above that, you have tribute cars, where the attention to detail is obvious to true diehards, where it's like, no, it shouldn't have this, it shouldn't have that. You might have a couple people saying, shouldn't have a 5-speed. Well, I explained why we did that, but the intent and the purpose is
that,
obvious.
you guys have gone to the great lengths to try to ultimately replicate, because let's be honest, Shelby #1, there is one of those.
Yep.
It sold for a lot of money, and next time it sells, it'll probably sell for a lot more money.
Sold $12,500,000.
And so you're talking about owning as close as you can to that original.
Yeah, and then making sure that it's not just a perceived value, that it's actually a physical value as well, right? So that it's only 10. They're aluminum. You know, everyone knows in our industry, those things start to add the value to the car.
For sure.
Then it's the attention to detail. Then it's what the car represents, you know? So all those things add a value to the car. When you actually look at the car, you know, inside out, top to bottom, the people that really care will understand what we did here.
Yeah.
And they'll see the value in the car.
Yeah. You guys also went as far as, I overheard Ethan talking about this. This car doesn't have an alternator.
No, it has a generator on it. So yeah, it's always just doing the car right.
Yeah.
So the car runs great though, and you're gonna figure that out. You're gonna see that. I'm really impressed, you know, like you hear people trash girlings all the time. This car stops nice, drives nice. I mean, this car, no wonder Carroll kept it so long. If it's anything like this car's a sweetheart. So.
Well, man, you just led us to the point we got to do, which is go take this thing out for a drive and get some beautiful shots of it rolling down the road, man. Yeah. We're gonna go for a drive, you guys.
All right.
Hey guys, I'm super excited to announce that we have a brand new collection coming out. We're calling this one The Player. New shirt, new hat. This might be my favorite design we've come up with yet. It's dropping on September 17th, so let's jump into today's episode. Yeah, right away it's a smile machine for me.
I know, right?
I mean, the ones I drive that I fall in love with every time with you guys is the 427 cars.
Well, and that's our bread and butter, right?
The power is super intoxicating, you know what I mean? That torque, I mean, that much throttle input, you're launched.
Yep.
This is a little 289. I mean, we were, and I'm not knocking it,
No.
but like we were just talking about it when cameras aren't rolling. Yeah, you got a 289 that's making give or take somewhere in the range of about 200 horsepower.
Yeah.
You're at roughly 2,200 pounds. Skinny what do we say, 4-inch contact patch that the tire makes?
4 inches on the ground.
You know, but it feels like driving it down the road right now.
Yeah.
Totally enjoyable, feels great, and it feels like what it is. Which you said, I thought it would have been licensed or registered as a 63.
Yeah.
But it's actually a 1962.
Yeah, 1962 was when that was when they put the 260 in it. The prototype was complete in 1962.
Gosh, I just love it. It's funny, I've just noticed I'm in third gear that whole time.
Yeah. How are you liking the girlies?
You know, I got to admit, Ashton, by the way, thank you. He got me hyper aware of the brakes on here.
Yeah.
And I get it. I mean, single piston brakes,
Yep.
solid
disc, no vents.
solid disc.
Yep.
But again, it's a 2,200 pound car. So there's, I mean, look, again, would I want to be personally performance braking this car like old Carroll and his pals did? No.
Yeah, no. But we're refined gentlemen now, you know what I mean?
That's right.
So we're not.
That's right. And they were also completely psycho.
Yeah. Definitely men made for their generation in their time.
But this is, I gotta tell you, this little car is just like,
it's awesome.
Dude, it's a joy to drive.
Awesome car. The car is magnificent. The car is incredible.
Smile.
Yeah.
It just makes you smile. I could see how, if you wanted to keep it true to the era, sure, go to a 4-speed. I mean, hell, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out of third gear yet.
I know, yeah.
When you were saying VDO earlier during the interview, I mean, I know the name, but I gotta be honest, I wasn't putting it together. Then I sat down, I was like, oh, that's old Mercedes gauge right
exactly.
there.
That's exactly.
I mean, I know that from Mercedes, so it really stands out amongst these other gauges here.
Well, and I think that when it comes to attention to detail like that, and the capacity and capability to build a car like this, in our industry, we really do stand alone when it comes to that.
Yeah.
We do our Superformance car, we've done all of our Shelby CSX continuation cars, but to be able to replicate this car at this level, like you're familiar with the Sebrings we did before, those tributes, even recreating the iridium tip B-52 bomber switches, that is attention to detail that cannot be sacrificed. Why do it? If you're going to do a tribute, then do it. If you're not going to do it, then just keep building a normal car. Don't come with anything new.
Yes.
You know, just call it that. You know, so.
Boy, you really feel now at speed, which, by the way, I'm guessing you guys got to calibrate this still, because I think we're over 40 mile an hour right now.
Yeah, we're a bit over 40. What's our tack at?
I mean, we're at like 1800 in fifth gear.
In fifth gear, we're about 70 miles an hour right now.
I figured we were right around 65, 70.
It's the tall overdrive TKX, and it's the 354 gearing in the differential.
It's only a 354 back there. Yeah.
You have options for 331, you have options for 354 and 373.
Yeah. It's funny right now, though, you genuinely feel the old suspension.
Yeah.
You really feel the bias ply tire.
Yeah. Are your knuckles turning a little white?
It's like, but this is so fun, man.
Yeah.
This is, and I haven't used the turn signal yet.
Oh yeah, no, that's a fancy piece of equipment there.
I love the engineering of that, that you have to keep looking at the turn signal to make sure you actually turned it off.
Because it doesn't self-correct,
I was expecting less, I'll be honest with you. I knew your guys' attention to detail would be there, but I was expecting less of a driving experience. It doesn't have the side pipes, it doesn't make the rumble. I mean, hell, I hear the wind a lot louder than I do I don't even hear the exhaust. And to the Superformance family, you know, thanks for, as I understand, we're one of the first ones getting to shoot this car. Man, I tell you, it's a lot more stable on the road than I thought it was gonna be. The skinny tires had me nervous, man. The car just drives super bitchin', man. Dude, I love it. I love the feel of the brakes on here, actually.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, it's like you think that they're going to be so hard. You think that the car's going to beat you up. You know, it's going to be so rough. This car's a sweetheart. And it's fun to drive,
plenty of people hear me talk about it. I love the feel of manual brakes on like all the pro touring stuff that we mostly shoot. Almost always, I'll prefer manual braking. I like the amount of touch you have. You know, and you got plenty of braking when it's done right.
Yeah. Exactly.
This car, plenty of braking.
Yeah, people really get worried about our GD40s, you know, like their manual brake. Yeah, get in it, drive it, stop the car, it stops.
Oh yeah,
you know, because it's done right, it's dialed in. You know,
it is. Yeah, I mean, you get your valving right. You got manual brakes that work just great. You know, really though, just a charming car to drive.
Well, and also like it gives you that sense of $15 million short of a time machine right now. You know, but you get it. It's like you drive the car, you put yourself back there, and you're like, I get it. I get why this works.
Yeah.
I get why it worked. You know, I get how he did it, why he did it. Thank you. Yeah, and then
pretty one. Yeah, it's neat, super neat. And here's the reality, in my opinion. Yeah. Let's say you could afford the $15-ish million price tag, whatever it was that Carroll's car sold for.
Now, right? It's like,
even if you could afford that, let me ask you. Realistically, do you think the guy that can afford that is taking it out like us and just driving it right now?
No.
It's not even just the dollar amount, it's that it is truly irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Anything happens to that one car, it doesn't exist anymore, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So funny. Dude, I've driven enough of your guys' cars to know, like, okay, watch out. Like, I'm not putting my foot to the floor. I mean, I was just foot to the floor and like, okay, it's you know, it is what it is. It's a little 200 horsepower car, man. I mean, come on. It's staggering to me you think back to the time. Obviously, put a pro driver in the seat, a Carroll Shelby in the seat, driving it to the very edge of what's possible for this car.
Yeah.
You know, but for the average guy, like, this is just so mild and easy to enjoy and drive.
And then even maybe with some gearing that's not meant for 200 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get some gearing that's made for 120, and this thing's tight, you know?
Yeah.
It's quick. Look at that turning radius, huh?
It's amazing.
Look at that.
And this is longer than what the Cobras.
What they ended up being. Yeah.
Do you know the measurement of how much longer it is on this car versus the production cars?
Yeah, it's exactly 1/2 of my shoes.
Really?
I think
fucker. So. This guy's fired, man. Hey, Lance, I want this guy gone. Oh my God, I love how this thing drives.
Look at the paint,
it's so fun.
The finish of this car. It's just incredible.
That was just a joy driving this little car, man. It's what it represents, the lengths that they went to ultimately create as close as you're ever gonna get to that first car that Carroll and his team built. This is just an amazing driving experience. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Also want to throw it out, September 17th, our new merch is going live on the store. Check out atlamerch.com. And with that, I say, see you in the next episode. All right, you guys, later.